One reason for the city's success is its remarkable efficiency.
Neville Farker Bridges, successful financier and self-appointed City of London watchdog.
This efficiency stems directly from the willingness amongst the people who work there to conduct their various deals entirely on trust, thereby reducing paperwork to a minimum. It's a sensible arrangement, because many of the deals wouldn't be worth the paper they were written on anyway.
Over the past 10 years, Neville Farker Bridges has given evidence at many of the city's largest fraud trials.
The city is a marketplace, where a number of people deal in other people's money. Unfortunately, one of the most popular ways they choose to deal with it is to turn it into their own money.
This week, Delve Special looks at the city. In particular, we shall be focusing on the Rouget Doré company fraud and finding out what effects it's had on the investors who have lost everything because of it. Specifically, we shall be addressing ourselves to two questions. Have city financiers been allowed to shape the law to suit themselves? And in that case, why do they still keep breaking it? Francis Stratton is the junior minister at the Department of Trade with special responsibility for investment services. I asked him what his government is doing to combat fraud in the city.
We are taking the appropriate steps to ensure that in future the city's major investment institutions will be subject to much stricter regulation.
And who will be conducting this stricter regulation?
The city's major investment institutions.
So you're saying they'll be self-regulated?
Yes, they will be self-regulated by themselves, yes.
Well, don't you think it would be better if they were regulated by someone else?
Certainly not, no.
Why not?
The business of the city's major investment institutions is extremely complicated. Indeed, it's often so complicated that probably only they know what they're supposed to be doing. Clearly, in that situation, it is they who are best placed to judge whether they're doing it properly or not. And if they aren't, it'll be their job to realize that they aren't and come down hard on themselves, and I'm confident that that's what they'll do.
What leads you to be so confident?
Because we're providing them with extremely effective teeth with which to punish themselves.
But presumably there's a chance that they might choose, for instance, not to punish themselves.
There's a chance, yes, and obviously the government has provided adequate contingencies for that chance. We've built into the system very stiff penalties for any institutions that fail to regulate themselves satisfactorily.
And who will administer these penalties?
They will.
The institutions will administer penalties to themselves if they do not regulate themselves satisfactorily.
That's right, yes.
Minister, there are people who are very uneasy about this new system. Are you confident that it will in fact work?
Certainly. We haven't just rushed into this, you know, David. We've given a great deal of thought as to how best to set about bringing the city's major investment institutions under control. We've solicited advice on the subject and we've acted upon it.
And who gave this advice?
The city's major investment institutions.
One of the most high-risk and potentially high-profit areas of city business is the financial futures market. I'm in the offices now of futures trader Robert Pendle Houghton, and he's with me now. Robert, tell me, what is it exactly that you do here?
Yeah, can you just hold on a minute? I'm on the phone.
Certainly,
okay. No, sorry, no, cannot do, no, how much? Okay, yeah, I'll hold, yeah. Yeah, sorry about that.
No, that's fine.
Well, basically, at the moment, what I'm doing is pretending to sell something that I won't have in 3 months' time to someone who doesn't exist. So the chap on the other end of the phone will attempt to buy it next week at tomorrow's price. It's a bit of a lark, really.
Yes. But...
Yeah, can you hold on? Sorry.
Yes, of course.
Yeah. Eh? Okay, done, yeah. Right, send it round. Great.
So you managed to sell it, did you?
Oh, no. Actually, I bought it instead.
What did you actually buy?
I'm not sure, but that doesn't matter anyway.
What's the point of the transaction, then?
The point is that I've just made 250 grand. I'm going to have a drink. Do you want one?
Yes. All right.
Good. Can you pay? I'm a bit strapped for cash at the moment. Yeah.
Clearly, then, the world of financial futures is a complex and bewildering one, not to be entered by the unwary. And yet that is precisely where Daphne and Roy Baker of Middlesex found themselves. They take up the story.
We'd had it in our minds for quite some time to invest our money in a suitable scheme so that when we retired, we'd be rich, sort of thing.
Yeah.
And when we saw Rouget Doré's advertisement in the local newspaper, we decided that theirs was the scheme for us, didn't we?
Yes.
What did this advertisement say? Can you remember?
Yes, it said, get rich quick with us, and it gave their name and phone number.
And on the basis of that advertisement, you decided to entrust your life savings to them? No.
Oh, we spoke to them first, obviously. Of course, when we did, we were very impressed, weren't we?
Oh, yes, yeah, particularly with Mr. Rouget.
What was it about him that impressed you?
Well, it was his accent mostly.
His accent?
Yeah, oh, a very posh accent. You could tell he'd been well educated.
And he was very enthusiastic too, wasn't he?
Oh, especially when we told him we had £8,000 to invest. I remember he said he could do a lot with that, didn't he?
Oh, yes, he did.
Did he explain exactly what kind of investment he was going to put your money into?
He said it was something to do with financial futures and foreign currency and, you know, that sort of thing. He said he could explain the whole portfolio very fully to us if we really wanted him to, but the trouble was the market was moving so fast that we'd lose hundreds of pounds while we were listening. So we just told him to get on with it, didn't we?
Yeah, well, we wouldn't have understood it anyway.
No.
I mean, neither of us have ever been very good at sums, have we?
No.
So you gave him £8,000. What happened after that?
Well, at first things went very well. After 3 weeks, one of his staff phoned us up to congratulate us because we'd just become quadrimillionaires.
I'm sorry, what kind of millionaires?
Quadra.
It's the currency of Malawi.
And a week later, you see, they phoned us up again to tell us that we were rapidly becoming an important financial institution in our own right. And we'd soon have to make up our own minds whether or not we wanted to be quoted on the stock exchange.
Quite exciting, that deal, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was.
Did you manage to keep track of where all your money was going at this time?
No, we didn't.
Didn't that worry you at all?
No, as Mr. Rouget explained, that was the whole idea. If we couldn't keep track of the money, nor could the taxman, so it was exempt. Apparently it's a well-known business practice.
I see.
We were quite happy just to let them get on with it, really. Till the gas bill came in.
Gas bill?
Yeah, we worked out we'd need to take some money out to pay it, you see. So we contacted Mr. Rouget and asked him to convert some of our investments into cash, and he said no.
He said he wouldn't do it?
He said he couldn't do it because they weren't convertible into cash.
And why not?
Well, because apparently the most lucrative investments aren't.
So what's the point of having them if they're not convertible into cash?
Because they're so lucrative.
So you're happy about the situation now, are you?
Well, to be honest, David, no. We'd rather have the sort of money you can spend, really.
2 years ago, Gordon Rouget was featured on the BBC radio documentary series The Rich in Britain, presented by Norman Tennyson. Here, Norman Tennyson interviews Gordon Rouget in his car.
Well, this is most impressive. It's more like a travelling office, isn't it, Mr. Rouget?
I'm sorry, one moment. Sandra, take that through to the other room, would you? We'd like to talk.
Oh, yes, Mr. Rouget.
Oh, and make us a coffee when you've got a moment, would you?
Yes, Mr. Rouget.
Ah, where were we?
Right.
The car, yes. I find it invaluable.
Yeah, you're a man who's known for his wealth and his ostentatious style. Would you say that's fair?
I suppose so. I live well. Being rich has simply made it possible for me to have what I've always wanted.
And what would that be?
Money.
Yes, you're famous for your enthusiasm for money, aren't you?
In a way, yes. But I don't admire money for its own sake. Although, of course, some of the higher denomination notes are quite pretty, aren't they? But I do like to do things with my money. It's no good just having it. You've got to do things with it. One of the things I like to do with it is to get it out and look at it. But I don't mind spending it on the things that I want, either. We tend to go to the opera very often, whatever's on. We have a box at Covent Garden. And they've installed a television for us, so if I don't like it, we put that on. Usually take along a couple of videos, just in case. Then there's Ascot, which I enjoy very much, apart from the racing. And of course, I've acquired a few exquisite things.
What sort of things?
I've bought quite a few paintings, many of them by foreigners. I think there's something quite exotic about a foreign, very expensive painting. At one of our homes, I've covered the walls with them, almost. There's a small space just above the door in one of the bathrooms. I bought a sketch by Degas, but unfortunately it turned out to be an inch too long, and my insurers wouldn't let me trim it. So I'll have to keep on looking, I suppose. You don't know anybody who did any small paintings, do you? Preferably in grey.
No, not offhand, no. Your wealth comes from the world of finance, which is notoriously ruthless. Are you ruthless?
I suppose I am, yes. I remember some years ago making an important decision that from then on my approach to life was going to be no more Mr. Nice Guy. That would have been when I was about 5. Fancy a quick frame of snooker?
Well,
Sandra, set up the balls, would you?
One of the most obvious illustrations of Gordon Rouget's ostentatious style is the Rouget Building, which is his headquarters in the heart of the city. It was designed by the architect Peter Williams. Earlier this month, I met him outside the building to talk about it.
I like to design buildings which say something about what goes on inside them. The problem with this commission was they didn't want me to say too much about what goes on inside there. That's why all the windows are tinted. But the east wall has a financial motif, which I think captures something of what the city's all about.
You're referring there to the arrangement of 50,000 £1 coins set in concrete?
That's right, yeah. That says money, which is what the city represents, isn't it?
It's rather extravagant, though, isn't it? I mean, some would say outrageously wasteful.
But that's also a lot of what the city's about, isn't it? The important thing is, it's new. I always like my work to be new and fresh.
It's been generally denounced as horrendously ugly.
Yes, but it's ugly in a new, fresh way, isn't it?
Of course, you're no stranger to controversy, are you? Previous designs of yours include the notorious giant vacuum cleaner building of Dallas.
I think much of the criticism of that building was misplaced. If the owners had not been fridge manufacturers, I think that they would have taken a more objective view of what I was trying to achieve.
There's also the roundly despised 20-story concrete nose building in Toronto.
I cannot accept responsibility for the shortcomings of that development. The perfume company ran out of money before the nostrils were completed.
And yet you yourself, remarkably, have chosen to live in a splendidly traditional thatched cottage in the Cotswolds.
Well, that says something about me too, doesn't it?
Well, what does it say?
Well, it says that I'm the sort of person who doesn't like to take his work home with him.
Gordon Rouget's choice of architect was no more provocative than many of his other business decisions, and reflects a personality whose reputation for abrasiveness has not diminished over the years, as friends and former associates can testify.
Yeah, well, Gordon likes to give the impression of being a hard-nosed, totally ruthless businessman, but I think underneath that bluff exterior is a warm and a sensitive man. Mind you, I'm only guessing.
He wasn't a very nice person to work for at all.
Why was that?
Well, it was very nerve-wracking trying to type and keep your eye on your handbag all the time.
Gordon takes great pleasure in telling the story of how he started with nothing, how his parents were poor, and he had to fight his way to the top. I think it tells you quite a lot about him, really.
In what way?
Well, for a start, it tells you that he's a liar. His parents were rolling in it.
Of course, Rouget is no stranger to fraud investigations.
City commentator Neville Farquhar-Bridges again.
In the late 70s, he was involved in an enormously complicated fraud trial. It lasted 3 years, and the jury were out for 7 months. It was obvious that they were totally bemused. They sent 2 notes out asking what his name was again. Eventually, the judge was forced to dismiss the case on the grounds that there was insufficient evidence that anyone could understand.
Some weeks ago, I arranged an interview with Gordon Rouget. I asked him first about the bakers. What had he done with their money?
I've invested it for them.
Where?
Well, here and there, various places.
I understand you invest a lot of your clients' money in something called the Rouget Dory Venture Capital Syndicate.
I do, yes. The Rouget Dory Venture Capital Syndicate is a highly successful syndicate set up specifically to provide the venture capital that exciting new companies so desperately need to establish themselves.
Can you name a single new company that it has provided the venture capital for?
Yes.
What?
The Rouget Dory Venture Capital Syndicate.
You mean it's put money into itself?
Yes. The Rouget Dory Venture Capital Syndicate is precisely the sort of exciting new company that we have been looking for to invest our clients' money in. So far, it has amply repaid the faith we have placed in it.
Well, none of your clients have been repaid.
Obviously, it is too early to realize the company's assets.
Some of them have been realized, though, haven't they? I understand that you yourself have granted yourself a first-year performance bonus.
It is the custom in business to offer performance bonuses to those in the company who have performed outstandingly. It would have been an act of false modesty to forego the custom in this case, simply because the outstanding performer happened to be myself.
And you've also granted yourself an annuity.
Yes.
Well, all of this is in a year in which, according to company records, the Rouget Dory Venture Capital Syndicate made a loss of £2 million.
I took the view that the poor performance of the company as a whole should not be allowed to overshadow my own particular achievements within it. It was a matter of necessity to improve company morale.
It was certainly a way of improving your morale.
I believe in leading by example.
But don't all of these payments suggest that you're spending your clients' money rather freely on yourself?
Absolutely not. I'm spending it very carefully on myself.
2 weeks after that interview was recorded, Gordon Rouget left the country to set up business in Bermuda,